Hello everyone, welcome back to our third episode of Titan Sports, the show where we provide you with the latest news in the world of sports and here at Cal State Fullerton. I'm Jonathan Mansour.
Hey everyone, I'm Sasha Pytell.
What's up, Titan Sports fans? I'm Christian Elias.
Hey everybody, I'm Justin Rosette. We have a lot to talk about today, so without further ado, let's get the ball rolling. New details are coming out in the case of former Louisiana State University wide receiver Kyren Lacy, who died by suicide earlier this year after being charged in a deadly hit-and-run. Lacy's attorney says new video shows his client's car was more than 70 yards behind the December crash that killed 78-year-old Herman Hall. Lawyer Matt Ory told a Louisiana TV station that, quote, he was 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. That is not how the story was ever painted, never, end quote. Police alleged that Lacy crossed the center line while passing other vehicles, sparking a chain reaction that led to the fatal collision. He turned himself in January and faced charges, including negligent homicide and felony hit and run, and was released on a $151,000 bail. 2 days before his grand jury appearance in April, Lacy led police on a pursuit in Texas. Authorities say he had discharged a firearm earlier that night and fled, ending when he crashed and was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Lacy finished his final season at LSU with 58 receptions for 866 yards and 9 touchdowns, tying the SEC lead in touchdown catches and cementing his status as one of the conference's top offensive threats. His family and attorney have called for respect for their grieving process and emphasized the importance of mental health awareness. So guys, a very sad story here, as we saw with Kyren Lacy, and finding out more information about this and what happened. So Jonathan, I'll come to you first on this, but I want to hear from all of us. What are our thoughts, I guess, on this story and what happened with Kyren Lacy?
It's just unfortunate. I mean, I feel like we're just left with more questions than answers. A young man took his life away for practically nothing. An innocent young man took his life away for nothing. I mean, that can't be, overstated. This family deserves justice, and it's just very sad and heartbreaking. I feel like, why was this footage just released now? Where was this footage months ago? I don't understand, and it's just really sad to see.
Yeah, I mean, it was really sickening once this all came out, that on last Friday. And it just sucks because he was 24 when he took his life. And, I mean, he would be 25 with us right now. But it's really unfortunate. I mean, he had his good time at LSU. But, like you mentioned, why did it take so long for this footage to be released? And it's just sad to see because, he was a very nice young player, really great prospect for the draft, around second or third round pick, most likely. But it just really sucks, and I'm glad his lawyer, kept his promise and his word that he was gonna do Kyren justice. It's just really unfortunate that all this finally came late at the timing that he's not with us right now.
Yeah, when I was reading this story, I had no idea which direction it was gonna go, and then to find out that he lost his career and his reputation, and then to lose his own life to this wrongful case was just incredibly sad. But like you said, it's very admirable that his lawyer stayed devoted to proving the truth. In a speech at his funeral, the lawyer promised his family and Lacy as well that he was going to reveal the truth and be sure to clear his name so he could rest in peace.
I think the main thing I've been thinking about is kind of what Kyren Lacy had to be going through mentally. I think when all of this came out, everyone online was bashing him, condemning him, you killed someone. There were photos and things of him coming out that obviously he wasn't doing well or he was in jail, and people were obviously in the comments oh, of course, you killed someone, you deserve this. And then to see the footage come out on Friday, and it's it was not much happened, but you see his green Dodge pull up 5 seconds after the crash happened, and it's oh my gosh, he literally wasn't even near the crash, and it's that he ended up getting arrested for that. And I think for me, the social media trolls and haters is one thing, but I think what might have been worse for him is I think the body cam footage that came out is the Louisiana State police officer talking to the person that was involved in the crash and trying to get the person to admit that they were involved, that Lacy was involved. And the officer said, quote, make sure you put that you had to slam on the brakes to avoid the Charger that Lacy was driving in. And then after that, he said, the Charger was coming at you, right? And that's why you braked hard, right? Trying to get the person to do that, to lie. And I don't know why. There's no one's made a statement yet. But I think the Louisiana State Police Department has to make a statement. They have to be held accountable. The officer that said that and was on video lying, I want him to come out and say something, because he played a direct part in this whole case, in which ended up in Kyren Lacy taking his own life. So you don't get to do that and then just go in hiding, you know? So he needs to be fired for one, but also I want to see him come out and make a statement. Why did you lie? Why did you do that? So that's what I want to see. But prayers to Lacy and his family. He did not deserve that. He would have been like a great NFL player, as we mentioned, but also just for the family, like losing their son. I think it's good that they're coming out now and talking about mental health advocacy, but really just a sad case.
Yeah, I hope the justice is served, for the time being, and really glad for Lacy's lawyer that he's really pushing through with everything, and he's making sure Lacy and his family gets justice for everything that they've gone through. The 2025 Major League Baseball playoffs have moved on to the division series, and it's already bringing plenty of drama, upsets, and heroic moments across both leagues. In the National League, the top-seeded Milwaukee Brewers came out swinging, crushing the Chicago Cubs 9-3 behind a hot start and Freddie Peralta's 9 strikeouts. The Brewers jumped to a 6-1 lead in the first inning and didn't look back. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the Los Angeles Dodgers overcame a 3-run deficit to take a 5-3 win over the Phillies. Shohei Ohtani made his postseason pitching debut after a rough third inning on the mound. He got a huge boost late in the game from teammate Teoscar Hernandez, who redeemed his 3 strikeouts and lackluster defense with a 3-run homer in the 7th inning that ultimately sealed the game. Over in the American League, the Toronto Blue Jays blew out the New York Yankees 10-1 in Game 1. Toronto's hitting caught a special wind with Alejandro Kirk and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. each homering early, while starter Kevin Gausman held the Yankees to just 1 run through 5 2/3 innings pitched. In Game 2 on Sunday, the Blue Jays defeated the Yankees 13-7 behind rookie Trey Yesavage, who struck out 11 over 5 and a third no-hit innings. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. made history with the first postseason Grand Slam in team history, while Dalton Varsho crushed 2 homers and 2 doubles in a 4-hit night. The Yankees rallied back, but fell short, heading back to New York down 0-2 in the series. In Seattle, the Detroit Tigers outlasted the Mariners in an 11-inning thriller, winning 3-2. Julio Rodriguez homered and later tied the game with an RBI single, but Zach McKinstry's go-ahead hit in the 11th sealed it for Detroit. During Game 2 on Sunday, the Mariners evened out the series with a 3-2 win. Tarek Skubal allowed 2 solo home runs to Jorge Polanco in 7 innings, while Spencer Torkelson's double tied it up later in the 8th. But the Mariners rallied in an additional run, and Andres Munoz was able to close out the game, setting the stage for Game 3. So, guys, yesterday we had another 2 series. The Dodgers are now up 2-0 against the Phillies, and the Mariners, excuse me, not the Mariners, the Brewers are also up 2-0. So, what are your guys' thoughts from last night's games?
Yeah, I want to apologize to the Brew crew. I thought they were pretenders. They are not pretenders. They're just firing on all cylinders. I thought the Cubs, coming into the series, I thought it was going to be important to see if Cade Horton's availability, if he will be available for the series. He wasn't, and I don't even know if his availability even matters because this team is just getting killed by the Brewers. And for the Dodgers Phillies, this series is over. And honestly, maybe the MLB Playoffs is over. The Dodgers look really good. Their starting pitching is just amazing. Seeing Ohtani start off Game 1 and then finish and then go to Glasnow in the bullpen, that's just unfair. And then Sasaki come out to save it. And then yesterday you win. You sweep in Philadelphia. This is over. MLB Playoffs is over. Congrats, Dodgers.
I wouldn't say too fully over, especially with the with the late game performance. Once Trainer went in and he allowed those 2 runs, but still the bullpen still needs a little bit of improvement. So I wouldn't say the series is officially over. But Justin, let's talk about your Yankees, man. I'll let you take the stage for this one.
Oh, yeah, man. Giving up 23 runs in 2 games is disgusting. I turned both games off, really early. I didn't want to watch. But the Blue Jays have to come to New York now. That doesn't mean that much. Look, we're probably going to lose this series, but I still have some hope because the Yankees are 4-2 at home this year against the Blue Jays. So there's a little bit of hope. Also, they allowed 13 runs last game, but they scored 7 runs. So, they got their bats going a little bit to try to go into this game. I think tonight, Game 3, I think the Yankees should is one thing. I think they will win tonight. Of course, even if you win 2 games, can they go to Toronto and win again after Toronto? The Blue Jays, their home field advantages, their fans are absolutely going crazy. So it's going to be hard to do. But if anyone can do it, it's the Yankees. But now I want to toss this. I want to go back to the Dodgers because as a Dodger hater, on my roommate, everyone I know is Dodger fans. I don't like the Dodgers, but I'm very impressed. They've looked very good. And as you mentioned, being able to pull guys like Sasaki and Glasnow, and they haven't even used guys like Kershaw, out of the bullpen is just not fair. And I think Ohtani and Snell in both their outings, they both went 6 innings, 9 strikeouts. You have Sasaki closing both games. They look great right now. Honestly, I think they can beat the Brewers. I see them beating the Brewers in I don't think it'll be that close, honestly. I think the best chance someone has at beating them will be in the unless they choke again against the Brewers. But honestly, the way the Dodgers look right now is looking scary. But I'm hoping somebody can upset them.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Sasaki is the Dodgers' secret weapon in the bullpen for sure. He closed out Game 1, like you said, and became also the first Japanese-born starter and reliever duo to get a win and save in the same postseason game with Ohtani. So I feel like that's not just a stat, that's really a statement for the both of them. So it shows the impact of these Japanese pitchers, one opening the game and then one closing the game while also making Major League Baseball history. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and real quickly, we just haven't touched on it yet, the Mariners and Tigers series. The Tigers, I thought, blew a golden opportunity to take control of the series. You take Game 1 in Seattle. You have Tarek Skubal, a Cy Young pitcher, on the mound in Game 2, and your bats go completely silent. Only 3 hits. They were still able to make it 2-2, and then the Mariners obviously won 3-2. But it's just tough. They're set to play in like an hour. So first pitch is an hour. We'll see what they can do, but I really think they blew their opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like the Tigers created multiple scoring opportunities in the middle and late innings, but they couldn't convert. So I feel like at this point, putting players on the base isn't enough. They really need to make more timely hits for sure. And I think if the Tigers can capitalize in Game 3, they'll need to put runners in the positions to score more for sure.
I think going off that, the Mariners are not unbeatable. The Tigers showed that they can beat them already, and I think they did their job. They got 1 in Seattle, so now they're going back home. They have 2 games at home, so they could close it out and not have to go back to Seattle. So we'll see what they do, but I see the Tigers winning at least Game 3 tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely a great, strong defensive battle for both games. I mean, finishing 3-2 both games there too. And then, with the Mariners, I mean, when you have George Polanco, Cal Relay, and then Julio Rodriguez, I mean, those guys get going early, and it's pretty much going to be wraps for this Mariners team. But again, you can't start off slow at all. Even with both these teams, they're going to have to get going on offense very, very early.
The WNBA Finals began on Friday with the Las Vegas Aces facing off against the Phoenix Mercury. The Mercury got off to a strong start in Game 1, going on a 10-2 run within the first 4 minutes. However, the Aces fought back, returning the favor with the 19-11 run to end the first quarter tied at 21. In the second quarter, the Mercury found their rhythm with the three-pointer guard from Kaylee Cooper, capping off a 50-point half and a 50-45 lead after 2. In the third quarter, the Aces found themselves down 7 with just a few minutes remaining. Despite trimming that deficit to 2 with under 30 seconds left, Mercury forward Satu Sabali scored on a fast break layup to give the Mercury a 71-67 lead going into the final frame. In the fourth quarter, the tables turned as the Aces finally got back out in front 85-82 in crunch time. Clutch free throws from guard Jackie Young made it an 89-86 lead with just under 14 seconds remaining. In the final seconds, Sabali bricked a desperation shot from beyond the arc, and the Aces held on to win 89-86. Sunday's Game 2 began in similar fashion, with the Mercury getting off to a strong start in the first quarter, this time taking a narrow 27-24 lead at the end of 1. But things took a drastic turn in the second quarter as the Mercury were held to just 10 points on 5 of 18 shooting, while the Aces scored 22 points and took a 46-37 lead into the half. The momentum continued to grow in the second half, with the Aces dropping 30 on the Mercury and extending their lead 76-61 at the end of the third quarter. The Aces cooked the Mercury in the end with the final score of 91-78. Two-time reigning MVP A'ja Wilson balled out for the Aces, dropping her 4th double-double of the playoffs with 28 points and 14 rebounds. The Aces now have a 2-0 lead over the Mercury in a best-of-7 finals. So, what stood out to you guys within these last 2 games?
I think for me, I think it was just the Aces in general. I mean, you got A'ja Wilson, and then you got Jackie Young up in the mix. Both those 2 players are making a really huge impact there. And then another thing too, Jackie Young had 21 points in the third quarter, which that is an NBA Finals record. 22 points in one record is the number 1 right now in the NBA Finals. But she's cooking right now, and this whole Ace team in general is looking nice, getting a nice 2-0 lead. The defense is looking strong. But I wouldn't fully count out the Mercury just right now. If they can be able to shut out A'ja Wilson and Jackie Young, this could definitely be a Game 3 matchup for the Mercury. But with the talent the whole Aces team has, it's going to be very difficult to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of go to the three-point shooting in this series. The Aces are shooting nearly 34% from three, while the Mercury, they're shooting 27% from three. And in Game 2, they shot 17%. And as we can see, they kind of got blown out in that game. For the Mercury, I mean, the positive stuff is that Kalia Cooper, she's been a willing force on the offensive end, averaging 22 points in the finals. And Alyssa Thompson, she's been filling up the stat sheet. But like you mentioned it, who on the defensive end is going to stop A'ja Wilson? They haven't found an answer yet. She's averaging 24.5 points per game and 12 rebounds per game. And if Jackie Young, like you mentioned, if she's going to be a factor in this series, she scored 32 in Game 2. If she's going to be a factor and put anything close to this number, this series is going to be really hard for the Mercury to kind of find themselves back in it.
This series is very interesting, I think, because you have two teams that are very top-heavy. The Aces, of course, have A'ja Wilson. They just traded for Jewel Lloyd. They have Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young. And the Mercury have Kalia Cooper, former WNBA Finals MVP, Alyssa Thomas, finished second place in MVP voting twice now. And also they have Satu Sabali, who's a dynamic forward. I think the Aces stars are just outplaying the Mercury stars right now. I think if the Mercury want to have a chance, their stars need to be more aggressive. Kalia Cooper, as you mentioned, WNBA Finals MVP before. She's had like 22 points, 21 points in both games. I think she needs to be a little more aggressive. I think Alyssa Thomas, as you mentioned, she's like a triple double threat. She's like a Swiss Army knife. In the first two games, she's only shot the ball 10 times Game 1 and 9 times in Game 2. And every other game this playoff, she shot at least 13 times. She has to be more aggressive. I think Satu Sabali needs to be more efficient. She shot 7 for 19 last game, and she had 20 points, but it's like not an efficient 20. So I think overall, playing at home, as we saw in the last series, the Mercury were down. They looked like they were going to be down. They were going to lose that Game 3 and go down 3-0 in the series, but they're able to keep coming back. I think one thing I'm looking for tonight is their role players, DeWanda Bonner, Sammy Whitcomb, and Catherine Westbeld. They're all shooters, and they haven't been shooting very well. So I think playing at home, your role players usually play better at home. So I expect them to win. In a bit of a bold prediction, it doesn't look like it right now, but I think the Mercury will win the next 2 games at home and tie the series going back to Las Vegas. But we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I think even though Kaylee Cooper had 23 points and Satu Sabali with 22, it was just hard for the Mercury to really keep up with the Aces. And then Las Vegas's bench also outscored the Phoenix's 41-16. So I think this is where depth really matters here in the finals, where the team, like, they can't just rely on these 2 stars, I feel. They need to, like, all work together and contribute as a team, because that's where the Aces start to like take control, and I think that's how they took the 2-0 series.
CSUF women's soccer continues to keep the record-breaking undefeated streak alive after a 2-1 victory over Hawaii. The offense proved their aggression once again after some playmaking ability from Sky Johnson and Isabella Cruz to freshman Kailili Penn. Penn got through the keeper and secured her first career goal to give the Titans an early 1-0 lead. The Bows retaliated back against the Titans late in the 56th minute with a goal from Neilani Demacion to even the score 1-1. It did not take long enough for the Titans to bounce back as Kayla Oliveira swifted past her defender and knocked down a goal in the 58th minute to retake the lead 2-1. Despite being outshot 4-1 after Oliveira's goal, the Titans defense stepped up when it mattered most and secured their 9th victory on the season, continuing to remain unbeaten. The Titans now sit at 10-0-2, adding on another win after shutting out UC Davis 2-0 this past Sunday. They will begin the road stretch on October 9, where they will face Santa Barbara, who currently sit at 9-2-3. Justin, this team is playing very well, which is very difficult considering what's been happening off the pitch with teammates Ashlyn Gwynn and Lauren Taylor, unfortunately battling for their lives in ICU after the tragic accident last week.
Yeah, I think the fact that this team has still been able to play, that Coach Damian Brown is still able to coach with this happening, as you mentioned, Lauren Turner and Ashlyn Gwynn. There was an update posted on their GoFundMe yesterday, which said that they're both still in the ICU. So obviously we are still sending our prayers out to them and obviously hoping that they're able to recover. But I think it's remarkable what the team has been able to do. I also want to bring up, as I brought up last time we talked about women's soccer, a reminder that this team was projected to be 5th in the preseason poll. So all the people that made that poll, all the coaches are eating their words now because our goalie, Isaac Ranson, only allowed 4 goals this season and leads the Big West with a .348 goals allowed average, which is absolutely absurd. After 12 or 13 games, only allowing 4 goals is crazy. They also have the most goals per game average in the Big West through 12 games. So this team is looking great right now, and I expect it to keep going.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the UC Davis match on Sunday. It was really amazing for women's soccer because the Titans secured their 9th shutout of the season, and that also places them amongst 6 teams nationally with 9 or more shutouts. So that's a really cool statistic for them, and I think they're doing well. And I feel like that win also highlighted Fullerton's ability to dominate at home and also protect their leads under pressure. So far they're doing really amazing.
Yeah, the offense and the defense, it's continuing to show out, especially with, you know, the adversity that happened off the field. But I'm really liking it. They're really starting to improve more, especially in the conference play. Now with the next 3 games, like you mentioned, you know, Santa Barbara's up next. After that, they got Cal Poly, who's set at 4-1-8, and then you got UC San Diego at 2-5-5, which I think these are very easily manageable wins for this women's team. But with all the playmakers they got and all these the scores, and then Isaac Ranson at the goalkeeper position, he's very aggressive, right? And that's what you love to see in your goalkeeper, have a lot of trust in them. So I'm really expecting a lot of good things for this women's soccer team moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you guys nailed it on the head. I mean, Ranson, she's been amazing all year. The back line has just been stout all season long, like you mentioned. Now tied 6 national teams with shutouts, and then this offense, they've generated 15 shots and 4 on target, while the defense, they only allowed 7 shots and on target and 0 on target. That's just a recipe for success for this team.
Yeah, I feel like also it's important to highlight Cameron Cruz because she was just named Big West Defensive Player of the Week after that 2-0 victory at UC Davis. She scored both those goals. One was a penalty kick and one was a header off a corner kick, marking her first career brace. So that's a huge congratulations to her as well.
Cruz and Ranson have been dominating, and so has the team overall, and we'll look to see how they do for the rest of the season. We are now through the first 5 weeks of the NFL season, and with that, there are plenty of reactions across the league. Let's get started with our first underreaction or overreaction. So guys, I'm going to read a statement so far from the NFL season, and you guys are going to tell me, is it an underreaction, overreaction, and explain why. So for the first topic, the Super Bowl hangover is inevitable. The Philadelphia Eagles will collapse at some point in the season. Christian, you're smiling over there, so you tell me first, is this an underreaction or is this an overreaction?
You know, obviously, with me being a Cowboys fan, I would want to say that it's an underreaction, right? But, I mean, yeah, I would say right now, at this point, it is an underreaction, you know, as much as I would like to say the collapse is imminent, right? But you're looking at the next couple games for this Eagles team. They got the Giants, the Vikings, and then the Giants again, which are all 3 easily winnable with however they're obviously going to do. And then the next 3. You got the Packers, who are currently going to come off the bye soon. We'll see how that goes. The Lions, who are very great on offensive firepower, and then at home away against my Cowboys now for the final matchup. It's only going to get better from here. But you're looking at their offense; they're 30th ranked, and their defense is 21st. But they're still managing to pull out these type of victories. Some point or later, it's going to get to a point where, you know, this whole offense is going to need to be more explosive. A.J. Brown's going to have to be more involved. I mean, 4 out of the 5 games so far, he's been held to under 50 receiving yards. Saquon Barkley's been held to it's 3 games straight where he's been held under 50 yards. So they're going to have to start firing on all cylinders. We saw in the Broncos game last week, they couldn't get anything in the second half. Jalen Hurts could not get anything going. It all relies on his offense and the defense. It'll be able to pull forward, but it's going to take more than that to, you know, get these easy victories.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go, this is an overreaction. We see championship teams start off slow basically every year. A lot of seasons where we see a team come off a championship, kind of just take a little bit of a while to get back into rhythm in the next season. And we're kind of seeing that with this Eagles team. But the one thing with this Eagles team is they're in games. They're winning games. They're 4-1. You could argue that they should have won against Denver, but they just checked out. I don't know what happened. Shout out to the Broncos, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Saquon Barkley, they just had a meeting themselves that lasted like hours. So maybe we'll see on Thursday if they look better, but I'm going to say this is an overreaction for now.
Yeah, I agree with you with the overreaction because I feel like a Super Bowl hangover suggests like a slow start. However, like you said, they are winning. They're 4-0 record and they're leading the NFC East right now. So I feel like they're not necessarily collapsing maybe yet, but with opponents also gunning for them even more, I feel like that's going to keep them sharper and make them want to work harder. So I still think they're a team to beat in the NFC.
I think my quick answer would be underreaction, but I think it's an underreaction. I think they're going to collapse, but I think it's going to be different from the 2023 season. And that season, they collapsed at the end and they couldn't recover. This time, they're still 4-1, which is why it's crazy to say collapse. But Saquon Barkley had 30 rushing yards last week. A.J. Brown is kind of quitting on routes. It's not looking good for them, but I think they have so much time left in the season to get it. This is still a Super Bowl winning team. I think they'll be fine, but I think they're going to have a little mini collapse. As you said, they have a tough 3 weeks coming up after the next 3 weeks. So I think they're going to collapse at some point, but they're going to have a lot of time to make it up. So with the next one, we're going to move over to Las Vegas. So for this one, no dice in Sin City. Geno Smith will soon be out as the Raiders starting quarterback. Jonathan?
Okay, so he is not. I'm going to go, this is an underreaction. Geno Smith has looked terrible. But my issue is you just gave Geno Smith a two-year contract after this season for $75 million. You're kind of tied with him. The Raiders are just a mess, and they don't have a quarterback that I see is like, it's reasonable to give them reps. Kenny Pickett isn't going to win you games, and it's just like he's not the future quarterback, so why even throw him out there? Rather throw Geno Smith out there if you're going to pay him the big bucks. And then Aiden O'Connell, he's currently on IR with an injury. And then this just goes back to the draft. Why don't you draft Shedeur Sanders when he's slipping in the draft? But it's the Raiders. Are we surprised? No, we're not.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. It is an underreaction. I mean, he leads the league in interception with 9. To account, his O-line also hasn't been the best this whole season. I mean, he's 4th highest in pressure rate, but he also takes the longest to throw. But I mean, the quarterback carousel before the trade is going to be good. I mean, just recently, Joe Flacco got traded to the Bengals. So I mean, we're gonna hope to expect to see some new quarterbacks. I mean, Russell Wilson, he's still looking for a job there. Maybe the Raiders could go out and get him the little reunion with him and Pete Carroll. We'll see. Shedeur's still there. Why not take a chance and trade for him as well? But again, I'm gonna say, he's probably gonna be out of this quarterback situation for the Raiders.
Yeah, I feel like this is an overreaction because I feel like how the team's performing is not all on him. The Raiders are averaging 16.6 points per game and also rank 30th in total offense, while the offensive line has allowed 9 sacks. So I feel like that's more of a team problem, not really just a quarterback problem. Because defensively, they're giving up nearly 28 points per game and have forced only 4 turnovers. So I don't really understand the point in benching him now. I don't see how that would make sense because I feel like the Raiders need support and consistency now more than panic, I would say.
I think it's an underreaction. I think he'll be benched very soon. I think, like you said, the Raiders have a lot of problems. It's not just Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a good quarterback. Last year, he became the Seattle Seahawks all-time leading quarterback in terms of passing yards in one season, which Russell Wilson had some great seasons, so that was a big feat. But when you go to the Raiders, everything goes downhill. We've seen guys' careers, lives, everything goes downhill when you go to the Raiders. But I think, as you mentioned, they have a lot of things to fix, but the quarterback is the person who everything falls on. And so if they're 1-4, I believe, if they keep losing, they've been blown out 3 times now. If they keep losing a couple more blowouts, they're going to go to Kenny Pickett. And as you said, they need to go out in this next year's draft. I don't care who's number 1. Trade everything for the number 1. Get a young. They always go with these quarterbacks that are kind of past their prime, whatever. Get a young quarterback and try to build. These quarterbacks that are middle-ish tier are not going to lead the Raiders out of anything. So I think underreaction.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly add on. Every day I just get confused why Pete Carroll took this job. This team is in a rebuilding state, and you're trying to speed up the process, and it's backfiring on you. It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, the first week, Geno, he looked good. But, it was week 1, and we're going to know, Geno's going to come back to being old Geno that he always is, and he's proving us right. He's proving us right once again, and I wouldn't expect him to even throw even more interceptions and keep that title for league leading. But, yeah, he's definitely going to be out of the job very soon for the Raiders.
All right, well, going from one bad-looking situation to another potential MVP candidate. Over in Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers have looked great. Baker Mayfield is playing like an MVP candidate right now, and part of that is their rookie wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka, who has had a great season. He has, I believe, 5 touchdowns so far in the first couple of games. So the underreaction or overreaction, Emeka Egbuka will break the rookie receiving yards record. And Sasha, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I feel like it's an underreaction because rookies usually take time to adjust to the NFL. So to receive 450 445 yards, through 5 games is impressive, and it also puts him in the top 5 for all NFL receivers. And then, like you said, he has 5 touchdowns, tying him for second in the league right now, and his 17.8 yards per catch ranks 21st overall. So he's really stretching the field and applying pressure on these defenses. So I think he's doing an amazing job given how early it is for him.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an underreaction for me. I do think Emeka is probably going to break the rookie receiver Puka's record, which is 1,486. And like you mentioned, he's currently at 445 yards. That means he only needs 1,041 yards left. As of right now, within 5 games into the season, he needs to average at least 86.6, or let's call it 87 to break it. He's been averaging 89 so far, and he's been doing a great job in taking over the 1 spot with Mike Evans out. Chris Godwin's back in the mix, still getting a little adjusted. And then you're looking at the next matchups, the Niners, Lions, Saints, Patriots, Bills. This is all very doable to him to get some 100-yard games. The one matchup I will say, though, that Pats matchup with him and Gonzo, that's definitely going to show it. That Eagles game, every time he was lined up on Quinyon, he was shut down. So he's going to have to get acclimated to getting used to these number 1 corners and finally balling out. But I definitely do think he's going to break this record.
Yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted on this one. I don't know if I want to lean overreaction or underreaction, and I can see both sides. The reason for it's an overreaction is this team is right now playing without Mike Evans, who was their number 1 receiver coming into the season. So obviously, Egbuka, he's going to be getting those looks, and especially Godwin, you said he's just ramping up. He's still ramping up, so you kind of assume that as the season goes on, he might get more looks. And then Bucky Irving, who is a safety blanket for Baker Mayfield, he's currently out, and he's probably expected to be out next week as well. So it's just more looks for Egbuka. I'm really interested. I feel like if he goes off next week against, I think it's the Niners, you said?
Yes,
yeah. Against the 49ers. Against the 49ers, I mean, I can definitely see this being an underreaction, but I'm going to lean overreaction for now.
I think when you're naming all the weapons they have, it's kind of reminding me of like the Dodgers pitchers. I mean, you have Mike Evans, he's out. Oh, Ibuka's going to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. Chris Godwin's coming back. Cade Otton just had a monster game at tight end. Bucky Irving, Rashad White played like a running back number 1 again. They have all these weapons. Sterling Shepard had a touchdown last week. It's like, dude, Baker Mayfield they have a lot to play with. Their defense is doing good as well. I think I'm going to say underreaction right now. I think there's a chance that he can break the record. I don't want to, because Puka had such a great year. And obviously, like, once Mike Evans comes back, he's going to be targeted maybe a little less. And also teams have the scouting report. They know kind of what to look out for, these deep balls that he's getting a lot. So I think I'm going to say underreaction. I think it's possible because he had such a great start. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get it. But regardless, I would say he's probably not a lock, but looking good for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with you on that. That's something I've been saying for the past couple of weeks. And, what you mentioned, with, Mike Evans' absence, I do agree with you with all the weapons on the side, but even with Mike Evans in the mix before his injury, he was still looking a little slow. Mike Evans, he wasn't having any, great starts. He ended up getting a touchdown, but Emeka was still getting majority of the target share. And even with him out, it just increases it. And even with all the weapons, I still think Emeka's going to get his fair share. But like I mentioned, once he starts going up against those top defenses and their number 1 corners, that's, like I said, he's going to have to get a little bit more acclimated on that.
Yeah, I mean, Egbuka's role, it's to be a deep threat. So he has that working in his case to beat a receiving record set by Puka Nacua.
All right, that about wraps everything up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give us a follow on Instagram and X at TitanTVCSUF and on TikTok at TitanTV_CSUF. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you all next week on the next episode of Titan Sports.